Alrighty friends, here is your first look at everything that we saw at D23 for the first day. We are here at D23 and honestly there is so much information, there's so much to see on the floors to the big hall panels, but since there is so much to talk about and unfortunately I am running out the door, I have such a Saturday, so there's a lot going on. I only have this brief moment to talk about a few of the highlights. I will do a longer video later on where I talk about everything that was discussed in the movies and TV panel, but I really just want to focus on what we learned at Marvel. As someone who goes to cons a lot, from CinemaCon to San Diego Comic-Con, now D23, and of course the latter cons of the year, we kind of get to see a lot of trailers and information reused and recycled from panel to panel, or to con to con to con. And that's kind of what happened in this con. However, there were a lot of new things, and I specifically want to talk about the new Captain America movie. At San Diego Comic-Con, we did actually see this trailer. However, there was a new clip added on to the beginning that we had not seen before, and that was specifically talking about how they're going to bring the X-Men into this new Marvel universe. It's so beautiful being able to have friends who not only love comics, but are knowledgeable about comics. My friend Coy and I've talked about him in other videos. He looks like this. You should all know who he is. He's a great comic book guy. We happen to talk about, just because we do go to cons a lot, we talked about what is the big thing that we're hoping to see at this particular Marvel panel. And again, as someone who gets to go to cons a lot, I just wanted something new, but most specifically, I wanted us to finally, in a very real way, acknowledge this decommissioned celestial coming out of Earth. You know, we see it in the background and in news videos, but what I am ready for is the same thing that they did with New Asgard and turned it into an amusement park. I want them to I was going to say Americanize, but Earthanize, because everyone does it. It's not just the Americans, but I want them to Earthanize this creature. And Kui turns to me and he says, oh, but you know that becomes the new lair or the headquarters for the Avengers. They use that. Not to mention, the entire celestial being is made out of adamantium. And I'm sitting here like, in my mind, having sparks fly off because adamantium, that means Wolverine and the X-Men and X2 and everything. It literally means this is how it's going to segue. And he then begins to explain to me that that is what they essentially do. Not only do they use parts of the Celestial as their headquarters and their beings, but it becomes something that is stripped apart and stolen and taken away. And that's how we get to Wolverine and all of these other creatures and Deadpool swords. And it is how we get this cross between the X-Men and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I thought that was so brilliant. So of course, I didn't know. I was like, I kind of blew it off. I was like, that's crazy, you know, because we didn't think about it. He was just explaining this situation via something I wanted, amusement park and rides. But lo and behold, the second that the clip starts, you see Sam, you see Harrison Ford, you see the president, and we're sitting all at a briefing table. And the first thing they say is, we got to talk about the elephant in the room or the celestial in the room. And they talk about how they found this new material. And it's this beautiful cinematic slow pause. And you just hear Harrison Ford say, adamantium. And in my heart, I'm excited, not only because yay, in my mind, and of course I'm in and amongst a bunch of creators who, as I see the celestial and I see him talking about this new material, I know that we've already talked about this. So I'm sitting here like, adamantium, X-Men, and I'm mumbling this as it's going, and of course everyone around me who isn't as comic enthused as me is not following my, so they're like, what, and they're 3 paces behind. But I thought that was so wonderful that now we have this full confirmation of the crossover happening. And of course with Deadpool and Wolverine, we knew that was going to happen. Deadpool kind of is that bridge, but he's also the bridge between comics and us and the real world. And you know, he is our inner thoughts and our inner voices. But it's nice to now have a concrete knowledge that this is happening and we are now here. We are in the future. We're in the X-Men. The mutants are here, baby. So that was really exciting. We also got to see a full look of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk. Initially, we had kind of just seen him, you know, slam down the shield and kind of turn over his shoulder, but now we got to see a full, not only face of him kind of transforming, it is still hidden under the podium, but we got to see him do his Hulk yell. And so that was a really nice treat. We did get to see the Fantastic Four. Unfortunately, the cast was not able to make it. They are still either shooting, reshooting, or who knows, doing other projects. But they did give us a little message, and in that message, we got to see Johnny Storm in their new Fantastic Four outfits. And again, this is very 60s heavy, and they even showed us a trailer, which I'm sure has dropped at this point. But we got to see how real and how in tune to the 60s filmmaking it's gonna be. We got to see Pedro Pascal, we got to see hear his voice as he's talking. We got to really see each one of them and how they are portraying these individual characters. And it is different. I will say, on a personal note, I'm a little curious on how they're gonna fit in. It's a different dynamic. It's a different Fantastic Four than we are used to. I feel like with the Fantastic Four that we saw first and then the second Fantastic Four, they were very like superhero haha. This is more of a humanized and real version, I guess I can say. They seem like normal people who happen to get powers and are just I don't know, they don't feel super yet. They just feel like people with powers. And of course, we haven't seen the film, so I'm judging this based off of a 45-second trailer, but it just felt a little more grounded. And I don't know if I necessarily enjoy that just yet, just because the Fantastic Four have always been so fantastic and larger than life and stretchy and fire and everything, you know. They've just always been bigger. But we'll see what happens with that. We did see a trailer for Ironheart, and we got the first look at Red Hood kind of in his full glory. This is a lot more I was gonna say the swag of an urban teen. No, but this is a really interesting, unique take on Ironheart. I thought this was going to be more of her origin story. We get to see more of like what happened with her dad and how she gets more in tune with, oh, I am a genius and let me go. But she's been kicked out of MIT. So now it's kind of real street level. We got to find the money. We got to make the money. And of course, and unfortunately, for a lot of kids of color, we do have to resort to less commercialized ways of making money, especially if we want enough money to build a new iron suit, a new Ironheart suit, because now she doesn't have the funding of MIT to continue her research. So we have to find new ways, and unfortunately that's how she finds Red Hood. That's how she finds she finds the seedy kind of squad to help her accomplish her goals. But you know, sometimes you gotta get in the mud. You know, Tony Stark helped build weapons in order to eventually find himself to Iron Man. So, you know, it's not about the journey, it's about the destination. And hopefully she will find the destination in the end. Agatha all along was super amazing. We got to see more of the Witch's Road. Truly, I think this is going to be the best series for Halloween and for the spooky season. I got to talk to someone who had actually seen all 8 episodes, and while I'm not going to give any spoilers, obviously, they did let me know that as far as The Witch's Road and the comic book, this, like Deadpool and Wolverine, does a really good job of melding the two worlds. So people who really enjoy just watching the television show as is and don't really have a base knowledge of comics are going to be fed, and those who enjoy the comics and have a love and a deep kind of the searchers, the ones that can see that tiny little nugget and know, oh, this was on panel 13 of this specific comic, are also going to be very, very well fed with this show. There are also a lot of nods to WandaVision, and the musical score is also great. It's by the same creators who did Frozen 1, Frozen 2, and Coco. So we got to see a little snippet of one of the big songs. And so I have to say, this is going to be a very immersive world that we're going to be entering into, and I cannot wait for it. After that, we did finally see Daredevil Born Again, and I think this is the Netflix show we've kind of all been waiting for and kind of wanted. This is very gritty, it's very dark. All of our favorite characters are back. And we got to see more versions of the Daredevil helmets. We didn't get to see the full look of it, but we did get to see the helmets all lined up together. We get to see Fisk. He's got his little pin on, so it's very clear that he is going still for the mayor. And of course we know that is this specific comic book section. So while we are dealing with Galactus in the very large sense, we do have our street level big villains like Fisk that we're going to have to tackle in this next series. There's still, again, a lot to talk about. I am now 2 minutes over time. I do need to go, guys. Today we have more stuff to talk about at D23. I'm heading to a TVA event right now, so please look out for those videos. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and follow. And if there's anything that you guys specifically want me to talk about at D23, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys for the next video. Bye.